It's very interesting that a lot of the conversation that's going on at the moment is about powerful women. So I want to put a question as cleanly as I can. When people bristle at Rachel Reeves, is it prejudice against a woman from outside the old boys club, or prudence about a chancellor who talks fiscal rectitude while tolerating and perhaps benefiting from slippery political optics around tax and power? The answer is mixed. But we can separate it into three tests: prudence, prejudice and hypocrisy. There's clearly a misogynistic undertow in British political commentary. You can see it in the way Angela Rayner's private life and property choices have been turned into a morality tale with shifting accusations that cannot be satisfied. Too much in Hove and somehow not enough in Hove. It sounds like Nigel Farage. Too northern for the opera, too posh for the pub. The government itself says a court order is constraining what Rayner can currently disclose, and Keir Starmer has publicly defended her record and background as a British success story. That context matters for Reeves because public suspicion about Labour's senior women is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening while Rayner is being pummeled in headlines for largely symbolic reasons, even as outlets stress there's no allegation of illegality. Prejudice alone doesn't explain the Reeves scepticism, but it supplies the background noise that makes every fiscal choice look like a character flaw than a policy debate. On prudence, Reeves has shown herself that she's tried to pitch herself as the sober custodian of public finances. Yet Number 10 just created a new power centre by moving Darren Jones from the Treasury to be Chief Secretary of the Prime Minister, with Manoush Shafiq installed as Chief Economic Advisor. Even admirers think this strengthens control from Downing Street and shifts the internal balance of economic decision-making. Allies say Reeves backed the change, but in Whitehall, that kind of centralisation reads as a vote of no confidence in a department delivery and a signal that Number 10 wants more grip on the money. It's the kind of structural move that fuels whispers that the Chancellor is being outflanked and being prepared for replacement. Prudence also involves the tax mix she is weighing for the autumn budget. Serious reporting suggests property is in scope. Talk of high burdens on expensive homes, possible changes to reliefs and broader capital taxes. Markets and agents have already reacted to the speculation, with a visible cooling at the top end. If you threaten to move the tax goalposts even tentatively, you shift behaviour now, and voters remember the chill, not the consultation. I was listening to a fascinating piece from Terry Wogan's son, who can't sell his father's house. No one's remotely interested in looking round it. Because the housing market hasn't just dried up, it's stopped. Finally, there's the Reeves-Rayner intersection. It is impossible to sell a story of fair taxes while your deputy is enmired in a running row over primary residence designations, trusts and stamp duty outcomes, even where the basic line is that no law was broken. Reeves can be as prudent as she likes on spreadsheets, but prudence is also political hygiene. And this episode of Angela Rayner is contaminating the brand that Rachel Reeves is trying to build. And hypocrisy is not about illegality, it's about whether you ask others to do what you will not. The government is pushing a big expansion of employment rights and union power through its flagship bills, and business groups are not uniformly hostile, but there is a clear public concern from the Institute of Directors and others that parts of the package will reduce hiring appetite and raise costs. If the Treasury is simultaneously briefed as planning further tax raids, the charge that Labour is rhetorically pro-growth while piling on burdens becomes easier to make. That is the heart of the hypocrisy claim, and why it sticks more firmly to Reeves and Rayner than to anybody else. They are the people who must reconcile the maths with the reality. There's a second hypocrisy front on residences and tax duties. The ministerial code is straightforward, that ministers must personally meet their own tax liabilities, including council tax, where an official residence is their main home. The Cabinet Office has also long drawn lines about when the state pays for an official's second home. When you combine that with confused public reporting about who pays what where, you create ambient suspicion that senior figures play by special rules. Clarity quashes that. Opacity feeds that. Some of it is prejudice. Women at the top are still judged by a different code, a different colour. Reeves and Rayner inherit that suspicion, and it colours the reception of their choices. Much of it is prudence. Voters and firms are right to ask whether shifting the tax base towards property and capital in the fragile market is stabilising or self-defeating, announcing review after review, trailing potential levies, centralising economic control in number 10, all contribute to the sense of the Treasury losing narrative discipline. And if the Treasury loses discipline, so do other ministries. The hypocrisy sting lands when the party's top team looks careless about appearances while asking the country to accept tighter belts. Tighten your belt, and you look at Angela Rayner, she's clearly loosing her belt. Legality doesn't rescue you from opinion, from optics. Only a higher bar of transparency does. What Reeves should do now, there are 5 crisp moves that she should make. She should set red lines in public, list 3 tax levers that are off the table this Parliament, and stick to them. Predictability is the cheapest stimulus. Publish the decision process when the budget speculations touch housing. Release the modelling assumptions in plain English summaries at the same time as the fiscal event. That starves rumour and stabilises the market. Draw a clean chain of command. Explain how the new Chief Secretary to the PM interacts with the Treasury to prevent mixed signals on spending and growth. Otherwise, every internal email will be read as a power struggle. Demand radical transparency from colleagues where property and council taxes raise questions. Insist on rapid written clarifications grounded in the ministerial code. If there is a court order, publish the plan and timetable to lift it. That is not disloyal, it is antiseptic. Rebalance the growth story. Pair the employment rights bill with a visible pro-investment package for mid-cap manufacturers and exporters, so the labour market message is not all stick. Cite the IOD concerns and show where the bill has been tightened to cut spurious tribunal risk. Suspicion of Rachel Reeves and Angela Rayner is not one thing. A slice of it is the pale prejudice that still hunts senior women. The larger slice is the rational anxiety that the government is drifting towards higher burdens and centralised micromanagement while talking about growth. So we shouldn't be discouraged from criticising the ministers. The hypocrisy label becomes sticky only when ministers look casual about the optics of their own affairs. If Reeves wants to keep the credibility premium she built in opposition, the cure is simple but hard. Fewer hints, fewer kites, more numbers, more sunlight, and an iron rule that her colleagues march in their private choices and make sure that they are they are seen to be doing what is demanded of the public. What Rachel Reeves is asking in private is what she's also asking of the public purse, and there shouldn't be 2 narratives. Angela Rayner has fallen foul of the optics of 2 narratives. Starmer insists that she's done nothing wrong. We're told the legality is perfectly okay, but the optics are bad, and similarly the optics surrounding Rachel Reeves are bad.